You keep talking about what you did, but they really care about what you think. At the senior level, language is going to be the thing that separates you from a manager to an executive. Here's the barrier. Your zone of genius, the very thing that got you here, won't get you there. Your career by being reliable. You deliver results, close gaps, and you make sure that the operation is running smoothly. That skill created stability for your team and for the leadership team to trust you. When you're interviewing for executive level roles, that same narrow focus can limit how they see your capacity and your readiness. When you describe tasks, whether you know it or not, you make your impact sound smaller. You're wondering why in the interview, you're not able to move on to the next question. You're continuing to be probed. It's not necessarily rejection, but they are confused about the level of impact that you have. Prior to becoming an executive, I was also an executive recruiter. Executives evaluate your scope because it signals readiness beyond your function. They want to know how your decisions influence multiple systems. And when you're answering the questions, what they're doing is they're measuring how your perspective travels across the enterprise, how they evaluate your scope. Through the demonstration of your answers, they're able to see how you connect the business priorities without being prompted. I've had it on hundreds of interviews, and this is the point where people slip. They start to list out what they built, implemented, and managed. To them, as they say it, they sound strategic to themselves, but to the interviewing panel, they sound operational. When you share everything in bullets, you're hiding your design thinking. The way to mitigate this is to think about expanding how you communicate, aka elaborate. You need to describe what you changed, not the 72,000 steps that it took to get there. For example, an HR director interviewing for a VP of HR might say, I implemented a new HR system and I managed the rollout. This here clearly is the activity. Stronger version would be, I created an integrated workforce platform that gave executives real-time visibility into talent across 4 sectors. Stronger statement begins with intention and describes the design, ends with a measurable result. That's the formula. Look, if you were invited to an interview, they already know you can do the job. No one's just waking up interviewing people who aren't qualified for the job. What they are assessing is how far your thinking extends. Every answer you give is proof of scope. You have to walk in there and speak at the next level, not the level that you've already mastered.